if you want a really light, delicious dessert to enjoy throughout the summer, then a summer berry trifle is hard to beat. And this recipe I'm going to show you is very, very quick. You can have quite a lot of it prepared ahead. For example, our lovely summer berry compote, which I'm going to show you how to prepare. So I'm going to heat my saucepan. We're going to use lots of lovely Irish producers products in this recipe. So the first one we're going to use is some apple juice from Wexford. So Wexford is the hot spot for this lovely apple juice. So I'm going to put in half a pint, very well measured, I'm sure you can see that. So that goes into the actual saucepan. That's the first thing. And then we're going to put in this lovely cordial here. So the blackcurrants are grown by Des Jeffers. I'm going to be using his fruits in the compote, but this is the cordial. So we enjoy this at home with some sparkling water and just lots of ice, and it's really, really lovely. Very, very little sugar, which is really an Irish grown blackcurrants. So a good drizzle of that. It's about 100 mils of that. And then we're going to sweeten it with some sugar. So I'm going to put in 2 spoonfuls of sugar, because the apple juice is quite tart, and actually so is that cordial, but it's very fresh. Now we're going to talk about some of the spices we're going to use. I'm going to use some vanilla extract, which is much better than vanilla essence. So roughly about a teaspoonful of this goes in here. And I'm going to show you a really good tip. So with the vanilla skins, so in one of my other recipes for the homemade vanilla custard, I used the seeds. So now I have the skin left over. So the seeds have been removed. There's still lots of flavour. I'm going to pop that in there. Don't throw this out. They're absolutely delicious, and vanilla, as we know, is expensive. We're going to put in some lovely cinnamon. So this is from Oco, and they're based in Athlone. So it's all organic, they're spices. And cinnamon is really, really good with the fruits. So this would be something that I would make regularly at home. We enjoy it. With ice cream, over pavlova, even with porridge. Honestly, it is really, really gorgeous. So I'm going to put in about half a teaspoonful of the ground cinnamon. It's going to go in there. I'm going to come to the boil, and then when it comes to the boil, I'm going to thicken it very, very lightly with some corn flour. So this is some corn flour here that I'm just going to mix. So it's about 2 spoonfuls of corn flour and some cold water. And this is going to help thicken it, so it's kind of nice and light. And always with corn flour, it kind of sticks to the bottom of the jug. But that's going to help thicken it, so it is. So this needs to come to the boil. We'll just give it a little whisk. Okay, I'm going to get my small whisk. I can bring it onto a bigger ring if you want to. You could put in some red wine, but I think using that really nice apple juice and the cordial is really beautiful. So this is a new product that the Simply Better team have launched this year. They have frozen triple berries. They also have frozen strawberries and blackcurrants, and they're by 2 growers. 2 of my food heroes, Des Jeffers, I've already mentioned him. He grows blackcurrants down in Wexford, and Pat Clark. So he's based in Stamullen. So he hand picks all the strawberries by hand, him and his team, and then the beautiful black berries, and we also have the blackcurrants. So this is them in there. You want to have a little look? So they're frozen. So I'm going to put them into this syrup. When it comes to the boil, we will thicken it up with the corn flour, and we just need to literally just cook it for a minute or 2, and that's all you do with that. Taste it. If you think you need to get it a little bit sweeter, you can add more sugar, but usually there's kind of no need to do that. So this is kind of 2 recipes in one. The compote, I have some cold here. I actually made this yesterday evening. So the compote will keep in your fridge for easily up to 2 weeks. So it's one recipe that will keep really, really well. And this is it here. I'll just show you what it's like. So I poached this last night. That's the skin of the vanilla, just to show you. You don't eat that, but it does flavour it. And then it's actually better when it sits in the fridge overnight. Obviously, bring it to the boil, let it go cold, then into the fridge. But it releases the blackcurrants, it softens them, it defrosts them, obviously, and yet they've still kept their shape. Like, that's the beautiful strawberries. You know, from Stamullen, same strawberry producer that we use in McNean House. It's just, his fruit is just fantastic, and he's just so passionate about what he does. So this is coming to the boil here. So I'm just going to show you what we're going to do. I'm just going to literally just thicken it. Now I don't want it too thick or gloopy, so I'm going to put in half the corn flour and see how we get on. I think I put roughly about 2 teaspoonfuls of corn flour in there. Yeah, this looks good. Because remember, when the berries are frozen, when they go into the hot syrup, they're going to release some of the water. So you don't want it too runny either. That's not what I want. But this looks really good now. It's just going to come to the boil. I'll just get a spoon and I'll show it to you. So you have that lovely colour. And it's just been thickened up with the actual corn flour. And then in goes our fruits. It's as easy as that. Cinnamon is delicious. You could use the zest of lemon or lime. You can experiment with lots of different flavours. So I'm just going to put in the full bag. Empty it all out. Just literally, I open the top of it and then put that in there. And this just needs to come back to the boil and then turn it off. Don't let it cook because the warm syrup will defrost the fruits. So they're still frozen, so they just need to come back to the boil there. But honestly, and that's the vanilla skin. You can put cinnamon stick, but I really like that ground cinnamon. And I think, you know, those beautiful spices from Oko, they're excellent, so they are. Okay, so that's one recipe for you, and that is delicious with pavlova with ice cream. So just let it cool off, then you can put it into a bowl. I keep it in a wee Tupperware container in the fridge, and then what I do for breakfast with porridge, serve some of that, and I make my porridge with Flavin's oats, 1 part milk and water, full fat milk, and then just some of this and then some granola, and that's it. That's what we enjoy. These fruits are delicious with pavlova, ice cream, even with pancakes, and you can see the lovely berries there. Just to recap, we have our lovely strawberries, that's the blackberries, and then the blackcurrants. So it's lovely. There's a lot of Irish producers in that little bowl there, which is great, or dish there. So I'm going to bring that to the boil, then just let that simmer. So I'm going to show you a nice dessert, something that's really quick and delicious. You can have it as a little treat, and you know, it's lovely and light, so it is. So it's like a trifle, a summer berry trifle. This for me is really the star of the show, but I want to talk to you about another product. So in Dunmanway, there's a company, an Irish company called Spice of Life, and they produce this beautiful custard. So we went down to visit them. It's probably over 2 years ago, and it's a very, very beautiful natural product. There's milk, there's cream, there's sugar, there's free range eggs, there's vanilla pod, and that's the Madagascar vanilla pod, and then it's thickened with carrageen moss. So what I've done is I've just put half the tub into the bowl here, just like that. So it's a very, very nice natural product. Really, I like this, you know, with you know, if you want to, with some sticky toffee pudding, something like that, even with apple tart, apple crumble, it really is an excellent custard. I'm going to jazz it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put in some Cool Swan. This is a Cavan liqueur made in Cavan, and there's cocoa, white chocolate, vanilla. So there is, of course, single malt Irish whiskey and cream in it. So it's made about 1 hour and 20 minutes from where we live here, and it's an excellent product. So if you wanted this for children, you just leave out the Cool Swan, but it is lovely. So the white chocolate gives lovely flavour to it. Now I think what works really well with this and fruits is a little bit of lemon zest. So using my grater, put it onto the bowl, watch the fingers, and this is going to go in now, and I'm just going to whisk this through. So just to recap what I have in here, I have the Simply Better custard. Okay, just going to put another little bit into that. So what you do is just empty it out into the bowl. You can loosen it up with a little bit of warm water if you want to. You could grate in some white chocolate, quality control we call that, and it'll just work really well. So the berries are ready, the custard is ready. I'm going to switch that off. Just want to show it to you. And they've kept their shape. That's really important. You don't want mushy berries, but it keeps really well, and that's the beautiful thing. And honestly, I make this most weeks. Well, it keeps for at least 2 weeks in your fridge, so you can make it ahead, which is wonderful. So that's my custard over there. I'll just move that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do our lovely little trifle. Now I'm going to do an individual one, but you can do a nice big trifle bowl. I actually don't have one, would you believe it? But you can do a nice big trifle one, but I'm going to do an individual one here. So the first thing we're going to do is put our berries in here, just at the bottom of the dish. So that's the strawberries, the blackcurrants, and the blackberries. Now lots of that lovely syrup. So normally now you would do a sponge or Madeira cake. What I've done, this is the Madeira cake, just pick that up, and I've just literally blitzed it in the food processor. So this is not breadcrumbs, this is blended Madeira cake. And why do I do that? I'll tell you why I do it, because I think when you do this, what I'm doing here, it absorbs much quicker, so it does. That lovely syrup. Spoon this over then. So more of that syrup, don't waste that syrup. It's so good, it's so delicious. All right, so that's that done. And then what we're gonna do then is put our custard next. I'd be licking that there. So good, and it's such a great product. So the next thing then is our custard. So we're going to put quite a few spoonfuls of this. So that's the carrageen moss that gives it that kind of thicken. Just kind of spread it out to the dish. So it's lovely and light, this. It's not a heavy trifle by any means. Just spread that out there. I love desserts in glasses. You can see the lovely layers. Then we have some whipped cream. This isn't essential, but I think cream in a trifle is definitely. Now I could have put it into a piping bag. I'm just going to literally just kind of spread it over just with the back of the spoon. Just go right to the edge. So it's very, very rustic, very simple. You know, if we were to do this, something like this in the restaurant, we'd be piping this, you know, with a nice little nozzle or something like that. So just go to the edge of the actual dish. And then we're going to finish it off with some nice berries, a little bit of texture from some Amaretti biscuits. And that's it. It's as easy as that. So just clean the dish. And then we'll start now to finish this. So a couple of lovely little berries here. We have some strawberries. We can use some raspberries and just arrange that on top. So you're getting your poached fruits, you're getting your fresh fruits. So there's lots of different flavors and textures there. I'm just going to quarter the raspberries. These are really nice raspberries here. You could use some of the fruit compote. You don't have to go out and get you know, fresh and frozen berries. So that's that. What I like is a little bit of texture. So these are the Amaretti biscuits and they're lovely. I've used that, but you know, it's lovely just sprinkled over some good quality vanilla ice cream. So I'm just going to get literally some of this, crunch it in my hand, and then just kind of sprinkle that over. Just on top there, just make sure get you, and that goes on at the last minute. So you can have your fruits made. If you want to, you can assemble. If you want the whole dessert, you know, the night before, and then what you do is just simply just put the fruit on it, put the cream on it, the fruit on it, and then the lovely Amaretti biscuits. And the last thing, this is freeze-dried raspberries. So we get this from a company called Redmond Foods. Really, really lovely. So this just is a little bit chefy, but it's gorgeous and gives great texture. And there we go. You can put mint into it if you wanted to. I love the fact that it's layered. You can see that lovely fruits. You can see the Madeira cake just there. And then you can see that lovely custard. That's a Simply Better custard. I put the cool swirl liqueur. You could grate some chocolate into it. I put some lemon into it. So lots of lovely flavors in there. Whipped cream and then your fruits. So that's my summerberry trifle. I hope you try this. And yeah, happy cooking and enjoy this lovely light dessert.